Once again, that's Karen Staley with such an incredible song. Karen is one of the premier writers in all of Nashville, and so for her to put that together in 8 days is absolutely incredible. Welcome to Grant County, Oregon. Anybody happy to be here? This batch is going to be really good on vitamin D. This batch ought to scatter out a little bit over here. I don't know what you got going on. All right, Dave Traylor, if you'll make your way up here, we start every one of these. People always say, well, what exactly are you doing, Trent? We're bringing the nation back to God and country. And there's nothing more important. And so for that reason, we start every single one of these the same way. We find a local talent to lead off our event by asking to bless us in a prayer. Dave Traylor is eventually going to get here. And I'll introduce Dave in a bit also because he's going to share some insight into why I picked and wanted to be in Grant County to begin with.
Lord, we want to thank you today for allowing us to gather here in beautiful Grant County, our home, and welcome these visitors that are coming here and traveling about the country, spreading a good word. Thank you so much for all the blessings that you've given us. We ask you to look out for our troops that are scattered around the world in harm's way. Bring them home safely. And let us always think about the blessings that you've given us here in the United States of America. Let us be able to pass that on, keep it dear to our hearts. And we thank you again always. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Dave. If you would please now stand, and I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I know you were really comfortable, but I'll let you stand for a while now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And while you are standing, we'll get Bryn Marie. Oh, Charlotte, you going to do this? Charlotte Rose coming back to the stage, and she will sing. And please feel free to join in on our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Once again, Charlotte Rose. You want a chair so you can just sit here while he does that? Hey, Jake, you got a chair that Dave can sit in?
Yep.
All right, just a couple last. You can sit down now if you like, or you can stand up. I know what Kevin's going to make you stand up later. You better rest up for that chaos. My name is Trent Luce. I'm going to be the MC, and Robert Davis Steele effectively calls me the ground commander, and it was this week that I learned that I really am doing nothing other than getting signals from God and going to places that we need to be. I knew that I needed to be in Grant County, and the reason that I knew that Because, well, number one, I didn't want to go any farther west. That's beside the point. But number two, the last time I was on this fairgrounds, this man, Dave, who just led us in prayer in that building, and we had 500 patriots celebrating the life of Lavoy Finicum. And I witnessed, yes, absolutely. And last night we had Tanny Finicum Crane with us in Burley, Idaho. And there's so many things that happened through the course of those events that I see playing out today. And so for that reason, I said we just got to go to Grant County. We got to go to John Day, because I also remembered on January the 26th, 2016, just south of the Grant County line, we all know what happened. And I remembered people saying that they were trying to get to Grant County because it's a UN-free county, a sovereign county from the United Nations. And I was like, what does that mean? Whatever that means. It means that people in this county for a long time have understood that the control of their lives happens at the local level, and that is the message that we bring to you, and that is why I knew John Day was the place. And then the other thing that happened yesterday, I didn't even think about this until somebody was walking me through what June 24th each year is. The birth of John the Baptist is celebrated as St. John's Day. And how ironic that I just randomly picked that we're going to be in John Day on the day the world celebrates St. John's Day. That's divine intervention, folks. Thank you. And one other thing before I bring Dave back up here, I don't want one of you to waste your time telling me that was really good. I wish there would have been more people there. Because the people that are here need to be here. And we don't have a $20 million budget to advertise. We need people that are going to move the world. And you can put this park full of 20,000 people, and it's still going to be you 150, 200 people that are going to make it happen. So you can come up and tell me, I really thought this program would be better, and then explain how it can be better. But don't come up and tell me, I wish more people would have been here. Now, I've already mentioned, before I get to Dave, I got a special treat. This guy just walked up to me, and this has been a new development in our entire campaign, and that is that we hear people locally that are saying things that need to stand right here and share that with the world. I don't think I'll need to introduce this guy, but I will. Lincoln and Bob is going to share with us maybe one of the most poignant, direct-to-the-point messages this nation has ever heard.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now, we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met here on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of it as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate. We cannot consecrate. We cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America.
Well, did I say something about divine intervention? He just showed up. I'm not sure we're going to let him leave. So, we'll move on now. Dave's going to come back. Dave Traylor. If you live locally, you know that he's been involved. I mentioned the United Nations designation. He was one of the two individuals that really spearheaded that in 2002. He's got a tremendous amount of experience, and I just call my friends. That's how we put this together. I call my friends. But before I introduce Dave, I've got to have a friend stand up that may not be my friend anymore. Elaine Smith, please stand up. She is a local hero. Her family is with her. Her sister, Michelle. And the reason I say she may not be my friend anymore is she's got a beautiful son who has a wife and 3 kids, and I got them to move to Nebraska last year, so her grandkids are now 1,000 miles away. Sorry about that, Elaine, but thanks for being here. With all of that said, from Grant County, the lifeblood of this county, Dave Traylor.
Abraham Lincoln gave a great speech here just a moment ago, and it was a great speech when he gave it in the 1860s there at Gettysburg. Probably the most famous address ever made by an American to the people of this country. And the words will last forever, I believe. Trent asked me to speak for a little bit here, and he gave me a time frame, and I said, I'm not going to bore him that long. So I'll just briefly speak about a few things here in Grant County that are near and dear to all of us. I've had the privilege of living here for 55 years. I've seen a lot of changes in the county in those years. Once we had logging families, we had mill families, we had ranching families, and we had the community with the business leaders, and they were all tied in together. They all supported each other, whether it was at the sports or some function that come up or a tragedy that needed donations. Everybody worked together, and we knew everybody, and it was a good time for Grant County. But over the years, we've seen changes. We've went from doing active forestry work, stewardship on our forest, to where we're doing very little now, and unfortunately, the fires that have been so devastating have eaten up a great portion of Grant County. This is something that we're trying to get away from. Change is coming on, but it's slow. And instead of doing the forest work that we used 2 years ago, now we look at fire as fire season. And unfortunately, fire has become big business, and big business requires big fires. So this is happening all through the West, and we need to change that. And hopefully, at some point, we'll get some people in Department of Agriculture, the Forest Service, the BLM, and we can change things. We have to change it, for our country is in peril as we speak. We look around at Grant County, and we know that we live in one of God's most beautiful creations up and down this valley with the east-west mountain range of the strawberries. When you come off of Dixie in the spring of the year, when the mountains are all snow-covered, it almost takes your breath away. So we're privileged to live here, and it's just like today, being here at the Grant County Fairgrounds. And it's a little bit on the warm side, but it's just typical of Grant County, whether you're in Monument, or Prairie City, Seneca, Dayville, Mount Vernon. I call Grant County and all the little towns a community because we're all kind of intertwined. We know people from the various areas, and we get together and do things. Trent mentioned the United Nations. We put that together back years ago, and we were laughed at. I remember Mike Smith telling us that even though a lot of people didn't know about the United Nations, he says they'll learn. And they did. There was a lot of study that went on when the vote came about. And we're the only UN-free county that made that vote in the United States. We've also done some other things back, I think it was about 92 or 3. We passed a roadkill ordinance. Might sound kind of silly to some folks, but if you found a deer or an elk on the side of the road, just been fresh killed, you take it home and eat it. Guess what? It took the state of Oregon 25 years to pass a law to do the same thing that we did 25 years before. So we've got a little foresight here in Grant County. We've got a lot of great people, a lot of keen minds. They work together. We don't always agree, but we've agreed to disagree. And that's the start of maybe getting something done. So we're looking forward to the future. It's a little bit on the perilous side right now with things that are happening. We've got to have some change, and we are the people that can make the change. We have to stand up and let them know where we feel and be adamant about it, but also be in a legal way so that we can't call us a bunch of terrorists. When you're here this evening to listen to these folks, they've got a lot of good things to tell you, and you have to applaud them. And please make a donation to continue this so that they can travel through the United States and get the word out. There's lots of folks around the country that aren't as knowledgeable as we are here. So we have to feel kind of privileged that we see things happen, and even though some of these things happen to us, it's not good, like the fires, we're willing to stand up and to fight to try to make changes so that we can have a better future. Because the future is what it's all about for our youth and the young people that are here. They'll be carrying things on. So thanks again for coming, and I just want you to know that I think it was Teddy Roosevelt said persevere, and that's what we have to do. It's just to hang on and don't give up. Maybe that was John Paul Jones that said don't give up the ship. So they asked him when his ship was sinking, do you seek quarter? And he says, I have yet begun to fight. And I think that's the way it is in this country. We have yet to begun to fight. So let us keep all that as a bit of treasure in our mind, that we can always do something and do it right. So thank you again. Enjoy this people that are here, and thank them again for their efforts to travel around the country and get the word out. Thank you.
Hang on. One more thing. This man's a Marine. There's no way we could be here today having the discussion that we're having the ability to fight without those men and women that for 244 years have been there. If you have served the United States military, please stand. We would like to recognize all of you for your service. Thank you, Dave. I want to just emphasize something that people in Grant County know, and maybe we all take for granted, is the reason he talks about managing the timber and the logging is that we need to manage that resource. And we have people that don't live in Grant County. Most of them live maybe Salem or D.C., telling you how you're going to manage the resource, which is not management at all. And we don't manage, you create the fuel that leads to fires that are extremely deadly. Last week, we were in Springerville, Arizona. I had a friend take me out to show me a hill that burned 11 years ago, 550,000 acres, and nothing was growing in that area because the fire was so hot from the excessive fuels, because timber and the logging business. Now we import all of our lumber from Canada. Why? We have it right here in great resource country like Grant County. With that said, I can't keep track of this guy. I see a little bit of him now. You know, there's only one guy on the planet that I know of that could have been setting forth and had a vision to say, I think we should spend 114 days in 5 buses and a group of people travel together, go to 86 different venues in 48 states, and think we can do that. Who thinks you can do that? There's one guy that said we can do that, and we're going to go to the people. We're not going to expect anybody to come to us. And that one guy is the reason that we are all here today in John Day, Oregon, and his name, with a pig, is Robert David Steele. Who, for the record, is also a Marine himself.
Well, this is a God thing. This is your thing. This is not me. I'm technically an unemployed guy on Social Security living in his wife's basement. But I was inspired by Sheriff Richard Mack and the constitutional county idea. I was inspired by Juan O. Savin. I was having dinner with him at the Trump Hotel in Washington. Crummy kitchen. I mean, I can kill people with the asparagus from those dinners just by throwing them across the room. But Juan said to me, he said, Robert, wouldn't it be cool if somebody put together a caravan? Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I need to take off this hat. This was a gift to me in Ogden, Utah. I've been taught that it has to be set. It can't be put down. It has to be set. So I'm learning new tricks. And then this other woman said, Robert, I have to see your eyes. So here I am, 68 years old, another 20 years of good work in me, which I'm going to dedicate to this country and to restoring the proposition that every single American should have voice and vote. We need people, not parties. So long and the short of it is, Juan, not his real name, he's a presidential envoy undercover. I used to be a spy undercover, so I like people like that. He said, and oh, by the way, Robert, you need to start on the 15th of May, and you need to be at Mount Rushmore on the 4th of July, and what you do after that, I don't care, but if you pass by Mar-a-Lago, that's okay too. I put all of this together in 60 days with God's help and your help. I announced this campaign on the 7th or 8th of March, thank you. And there's a story here that I'll give you at the end. Actually, let me hang these guys here right now. So I announced this on the 7th or 8th of March. I got my first $100 donation to a nonprofit in good standing with the IRS on the 14th of May, and 8.5 weeks later, I had $850,000 in the bank. That's God's will. That is not me being a smart guy or a cool guy or even a clever guy. That is God's will, and that's your will. That's the will of the people. America is crying out for its country back. They're crying out to eliminate all of these elected and appointed officials who have been bribed, blackmailed, or brainwashed into turning against us. We're allowing them to get away with it. No one is holding them accountable. So I've created 3 accountability projects. And I started this in 2008 on election fraud and reform. Unrigged.net is the website. I've written the book on the 12 things that need to happen. Others are funding a movie. I was able to raise $350,000 for 3 movies on election fraud and reform, on Wall Street treason and crime, and on satanic pedophilia. So election fraud is how Wall Street gets a crooked Congress and crooked state legislators and crooked governors that allow them to get away with stealing $100 trillion in 20 years from widows and orphans and pension funds using something called naked short selling. Naked short selling is where I make a copy of my car title, I sell it 1 million times, never deliver the car, and the sheriff never comes to see me. Because the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Security Exchange Commission, and particularly the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York are all crooked. They are a RICO organization at the top. Obviously, 80% of the people working in the government and everywhere else are good people trapped in a bad system. But the fact of the matter is the senior people like Rosenstein at Justice, Comey, who was a U.S. Southern Attorney and then Director of the FBI, crooked, crooked, crooked. And then you've got Eric Holder, who wrote the Holder Memorandum saying we're not going to put white-collar criminals in jail because they've got better lawyers than we do. Well, I got news for you, folks. Not only do we have every email, every text, every game chat, and every banking transaction, all these crooks, including the government crooks going back 20 years, we also have something called a Ranger Battalion with fixed bayonets. There is no amount of lawyers that are going to stand up to this. Now, I was deeply moved by the absolutely superb rendition of the Gettysburg Address. And I want to riff on that a little bit. But let me also just say Satanic Pedophilia is my other website, pedoempire.org. 49 free chapters. The fourth book on North America was book number 428 in the world within 3 days of being published out of 6 million books. Now, the author gets all the money. My wife hates it. I have this real aversion to making money or asking for money. It's just this, it's a God thing. So anyway, I believe that for the last 6 months, and remember now, we deputized 5,000 National Guardsmen. I don't think they were undeputized. I think for the last 6 or 7 months, they have been going around with some special operators and making deals. And one of the things you learn as a spy is you don't want to back your enemy into a corner. You want to give them an exit strategy. And the exit strategy I have in mind is we want our country back. We want fair and honest elections. Electronic voting machines were invented in order to designate the winner before the first vote is cast. And I absolutely guarantee you that my friend Sidney Powell is going to kick Dominion's ass. If I were the CEO of Dominion, I'd be in Switzerland getting a facelift, changing my skin color, and moving to Thailand where they love pedophiles. Okay? We are going to hit them hard if they don't make the deal. And I think most of them have made the deal. And as the Gettysburg Address was being said, Abe Lincoln talked about honoring the dead, that their sacrifice should not be in vain. I want to honor the living, that your sacrifice shall not be in vain. One of the deepest, most emotional things for me on this trip has been meeting the good people of Middle America, the heartland. Nobody should ever be allowed to serve at the national level without touring the heartland and getting to know the heartland. And I do have a plan. After this tour is over, after I've paid the bills, we do need another 5,000 patriots at $100 each. $500,000 will pay all the bills. But when this tour is done, when I have delivered on all of my promises, we're going to create an organization called USA 99. And I was just able to buy the URLs, usa99.net, .org, and .com, which is also a God thing. You don't normally find short URLs like that, and you certainly would never expect to find a URL that stands for USA 99%. We are going to create an organization that allows 200 million voters to organize in silos, sheriffs, nurses, moms, grandparents, all these groups that have common cause, and then by county, 3,000 counties, boroughs, and parishes. I will not allow those emails to be monetized. I will not allow those emails to be sold. I will use those emails to deliver like a bomb 1,000 people on every school board meeting, every county commissioner meeting, every state legislative hearing, and every congressional hearing. Organized people can defeat organized money. I'll just end with a story about these bells, which are on loan to us from Ogden, Utah. As the story goes, these were used so people could know that a wagon train was coming down the hill and you were supposed to get out of the way because that was the most dangerous thing, losing control of the wagons and so forth. But over time, these bells became a symbol of righteousness and people would be awarded bells. Well, in Ogden, Utah, we were loaned these bells because they're of great sentimental value to the person that has entrusted us with them, just as I am entrusted with your dollars to put these 5 coaches, a gear truck, and a technical bus on the road. This is a righteous journey. This is a journey of, by, and for we the people. And I will tell you, while I am huge on truth and reconciliation, I am absolutely huge on nonviolence. I'm pretty sure that by 2024, we're going to have a government of, by, and for we the people. And I thank you for the honor that you have given me in trusting me with this mission.
Robert David Steele. He's here with bells on. How about that, huh? You know, he doesn't know when he accidentally just sets us into the perfect course. Because you think about those teams, and we've been running the Oregon Trail now for a while, and those teams of horses, it takes great diligence and effort to get them trained, and yet they have to work as a team. The entire Teamsters came out of the fact that guys would go and train and be Teamsters driving teams and make a difference. And the point of that is that it required a team effort. And you know, the Bible says that it takes two. It only takes two to make something happen. And when you had a team of horses, you can make something happen. And it was that kind of effort that led us into where we are today. So thank you, Robert. It just dawned on me that we had a guy come up here and share with us the Gettysburg Address in a very authentic way. His name is Bob Jackson Minor. And I said, Bob, really, I think it would be a nice follow-up to share with us what moves a guy to look like Abraham Lincoln, volunteer to show up and share the Gettysburg Address. That's a sacrifice in itself. So I'm going to ask Bob to come back up here and just give you the backstory on why he showed up in beautiful Grant County, Oregon on June 24th, 2021.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Bob. And I love Abraham Lincoln. I love the myth of Lincoln, which is very important to our nation. And I love the truth of Lincoln, which has often been hidden from we the people, from all of us. The truth of Lincoln is more interesting than the myth and tells the story of the power of the people. So I got into this some years ago because another actor friend of mine, my background is in theater. I'm an actor, singer, musician. And I've been working in performing arts all of my adult life. So about 9 years ago, I was asked to read Lincoln speeches as a part of an event. And so I started studying multiple Lincoln speeches, and this was a series. They would have Lincoln and then Churchill and then Franklin Roosevelt and others. It was a really, really interesting thing. So I started studying Lincoln speeches, and I was already very uncomfortable with some of the things that we were seeing going on in Washington, D.C., and with this oppression of the people. It had been getting to me, and I'm going, what is happening here? And as I started studying that speech, the House divided speech is the one that caught my attention, because Lincoln was using a metaphor about some guys building a barn. And he was naming these three guys, Roger and Franklin and John, or James, I mean. Roger, Franklin, and James. And I'm saying, who are these guys? Because what he's saying is that this one builds this piece, saying he never talked to the others, but it fits exactly with theirs. And this one builds this piece, and it fits with theirs. And it was beautifully done in Lincoln's language, really with the language of the barns. Well, who are these three guys? And he says, they say they don't collude, but the barn they're building is here. And I got from reading that speech then that I had to study what was going on. Who's Franklin? Who's James? Who's Roger? Well, it turns out the current president during Lincoln's time, when he gave that speech, was James Buchanan. He was friends with Franklin Pierce, who was the president just before him. They were both friends with a guy named Roger Taney, who was the Supreme Court Chief Justice. And these three guys, two presidents and a Supreme Court justice, were sharing the same boarding house in Washington, D.C. for about 10 years. And in that time, they had colluded on a plan to get slavery to become entirely legal all across the North as well as the South. Now that shocked me. I said, what is going on here? This is conspiracy evidence. Some people say conspiracy theory without even knowing that the CIA invented the term to stop the people from talking about Kennedy's assassination. There is some really treacherous stuff afoot here. I personally see it as a covert war against the people. And once I started to understand that it's been going on a great long while, and that it's going on now in an escalated form, when God tapped me on the shoulder to not just go read those speeches, but to hire the costumer and hire the wig maker and work with my partner Peggy to do this, we did. And you're welcome. And I started doing it then, and we've done it since, whenever I'm invited. I have found it quite helpful to just show up and see if I get invited. Bottom line is, I'm here for you. I believe in what these men are doing. I believe in faith, family, and freedom. I believe in Sheriff Mack, who we'll get to hear from in a while. I'm in Sheriff Mack's CSPOA posse. Yeah. Because I believe in the Constitution of the United States. I believe in constitutional counties. And I think that that is the hope that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom. I do believe all of that. I'm so deeply grateful to be here with you today. Oh, by the way, there is one other thing that I just want to share with you very briefly. I also play harmonica. I love you all. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I'm disappointed. That's a wig? And the beard's glued on. It doesn't matter. That is absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Bob. Once again, Bob Jackson Minor, ladies and gentlemen. Another gift of God for us in this tour. I did want to just correct one thing. Sheriff Mack had a conflicting event in Kalispell, Montana, so he told you he'd be up here later. Unless he's got some kind of a magical power and a serious God thing going on, he's not going to just appear coming up here. So, John Bolin, you're coming up next. Are you going to... What are you doing? He's just sitting out there enjoying the day. We do have a peace officer with us. John Bolin's been a friend of mine for a fair number of years now. He comes to us from Indiana. John started as a deputy sheriff. Started as a deputy sheriff in his home county, and he became a U.S. Marshal. And we are just excited to have him come along because, as everybody knows, we are a nation of laws, and those laws need to be followed. We have lost too much respect for the law and the people who enforce the law. And I'm not saying that every single law enforcement official is perfect, but I am saying that if we don't maintain respect for the individuals who enforce the law, we are as a nation in trouble. This is a guy that gets it. We're proud to have him as part of our team. Ladies and gentlemen, John Bolin.
Thank you. I was mesmerized by Abe Lincoln. I just wanted to sit out there and listen to Abe. It's a hard act to follow, Abe Lincoln. Why me? Hey, It's an honor to be here. It really is. I swore an oath in 1989 to uphold the Constitution of the state of Indiana and the United States. And just because I'm a former law enforcement officer doesn't mean that that oath isn't just as important to me now as it was then, maybe even more so now. Because with age, you start to realize what those kind of things really mean. When you're going through the ceremony, raising your right hand and being sworn in, you're excited because you're going to get a new squad car and you get to go out and arrest people, and you swear the oath, you repeat, and maybe don't even really take it to heart. But I really have begun to take it to heart, and my question to you, to begin with, what are you willing to fight for? And I'm going to try not to steal the thunder of some of the other speakers, because we do talk a lot about fighting. Maybe there should be another F added to faith, family, freedom. Maybe we should add fight. But when you value faith, family, and freedom, the fighting comes naturally. And I'm going to talk about, I'm going to, again, ask the question, what are you willing to fight for? And I'm going to share a personal story. Trent, if I go too long, just come up and pull me off the stage. Sometimes I get really into sharing this experience. But in 2010, in a small town in northern Indiana called Gaston, Indiana, I was a member of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force. And we were going on a what we called a warrant sweep. And different marshals assigned to different vehicles, and different fugitives were our targets. And the fugitive that I was assigned to with a couple of the other marshals, we went to a couple of houses where he was known to have been. First of all, let me give you background on this fugitive. This gentleman was wanted. Gentleman, I don't know why I say that. I'm so respectful sometimes, but gentleman isn't the right word for this man. This man was wanted out of Arkansas. He was wanted out of Arkansas for raping a 14-year-old girl. Not only was he raping this 14-year-old girl, but she was the daughter of his girlfriend. And what he was doing was he was drugging her with high doses of Benadryl, and she would pass out, and he would rape her in her sleep and videotape it on his cell phone. So his girlfriend had the feeling that he was cheating on her, and she waited till he went to bed one night and found his cell phone and saw these videos. Well, he was arrested in Arkansas, and then when he got out on bond, he fled and ended up in Indiana. So we hit a couple of places where he was supposed to be, where his cell phone had been indicating that he was spending a lot of time and he wasn't there. And we gathered back up in a parking lot, and everybody debriefed, and some of the guys took their tactical vest off and some of their gear off and threw it in the seat, and the adrenaline was coming down. And my boss, in charge of the warrants division, John Beeman, he said, "John, jump in the truck with me." He said, "We have one more place where," he said, I don't think he's been there, but he said, "We're going to go check." He said, "We're going to go see if we can get some intel from an ex-girlfriend." So we jump in the truck together, and again, the adrenaline's coming down. We're not really geared up. We don't expect to encounter anyone. And we get to the house, and we drive down a long gravel driveway, and there's a garage off to the right, and the house sets back away from the garage. We park the truck, get out of the truck, and walk past the garage to the house, knock on the door. And a woman comes to the door, and John steps in, and he says, "Have you seen this guy?" And he holds the photo up. And there's something that God gives police officers. He gives all of us the same gift, actually, but as a police officer, it really gets tuned up. And that's that sixth sense, that you just sense that something is not right. He showed her the photo, and I knew immediately by the way that her eyes were dodging back and forth, and she was glancing down hallways, that something was up. And she denied at first that she had seen him or anything. And then she finally broke it. She said, "He's in the garage." We had walked past that garage, so we automatically assumed that he was gone. So we still weren't really in a heightened state like we should be, I said, John, I'm going to go back out I'm going to go out and check the garage. And I went out and checked the garage, and he got on the phone with the other officers that were still in a town quite a ways south of where we were. And he said, let's get a canine rolling up here. He said, this guy was here. He was in the garage. We know he's gone. He's out in the cornfields by now. And I went in the garage and was shining a flashlight around. The garage was, I'm trying to set the stage for you here because it's something that all of these details are important. Walked in the garage, and it's completely packed full of stuff. In the corner of the garage, there was a recliner there and a bunch of empty food wrappers and soda cans and stuff where this guy had been living in the corner of this garage. And this was in August in Indiana. It was extremely hot in the garage. I made a quick pass through and didn't see anything. By then, John had came in the door. And we went back and looked again, and I see a roll of carpet rolled up, propped in the corner, and I see 2 bare feet. And John's trying to work his way around through a bunch of junk, and I start ordering this guy out. And I have my gun out, and I'm pointing my gun in that direction, and I say, come out, show me your hands. And I was using some police officer profanity that I won't use here. Show me your hands, show me your hands. And he comes out, but he doesn't raise his hands. He keeps his hands to his side. This guy's a career criminal. And he knows that I can't use deadly force in that situation. So the gun wasn't intimidating him. This was an individual that did not care whether he lived or died. He knew he was going to Arkansas to prison for raping a 14-year-old girl, and he didn't care whether he lived or died. Now, I'm going to pause there and give you a little bit more of my background. My entire career, I was a law enforcement instructor. I instructed physical tactics, close quarter combat, and tactical knife. I instructed all of those to police officers all over the state of Indiana, including SWAT teams. I felt very capable. I had to holster my firearm. He started to walk toward me. John had worked his way behind. This guy, the only thing he had on was a pair of shorts. And he had real long hair down to the middle of his back. Hot, sweaty, all of us were. John came around the back, and I told the guy to stop. He's walking towards me. I tell him to stop, and I put my hand out and kind of hit him in the chest. And at the same time, John grabbed a hold of his hair. It was the only thing really you could get a hold of. He pulled away from John. The fight was on. We struggled with him. He headed to the door, the garage door. He got to the garage door, and I did a foot sweep and tripped him. And when I tripped him, we both fell onto the ground. And it was just a full-on fight, a very extreme physical fight at that point. John had a hold of one arm, I had a hold of the other arm, and I had put myself in a position where I had my hand on his wrist, pinned to the ground, had my knees on his arm, and he turned his head and looked at me, and my thumb was right there pointed at him, and he snapped like a snapping turtle and bit my thumb. And when he bit my thumb, it laid it open, and it shocked me that he bit my thumb, and I let go. When I let go, he spun to the side and grabbed my firearm. He grabbed my firearm, and my training kicked in, and I dropped to the ground and pinned my firearm into the dirt. John stepped back and drew his firearm and was looking for a clean shot. He couldn't get a clean shot. He told me later, he said, I needed a clean shot, but he said, every time I thought I had a clean shot, you rolled again with him. The fight went on there, back up, standing back up again, across the yard, against an old shed, had some glass on the shed, mud between the shed and a thicket. There was a thicket there of mulberry bushes. And we went in beside the shed, between the shed and the mulberry bushes, and shouldered the glass. The glass broke, fell into the mud. We're fighting in the mud and the glass. And at this point, it had been almost 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And I had never been in a fight like that. I had trained police officers. I had seen a lot of fights. I had been in a lot of short, quick fights, but never with a man that did not care whether he lived or died. That was my first experience with that. We're back in the corner. John has been, at this point, stripped off, you might say, of holding on to this guy because of the tight quarters between the shed and the bushes. And he's trying to reach through the bushes. He has a set of handcuffs in his hand. He's trying to reach through the bushes, and it's to the point where I'm exhausted. I'm done. I'm done. And at that moment, I have to share another little tidbit here. This is an important part of this that I failed to share with you. My son was a teenager at the time in high school, and I was his hero. He went to me with trainings, the local trainings. He would go and he would sit on the sidelines on the mat and watch his dad train these police officers. I was his hero. He was in high school, and I was the guy. At that moment, when I didn't think I had anything left in me, I thought about my son. And it wasn't what you would think. It wasn't like, I have 2 girls too. I have daughters and my wife, and I didn't have grandkids then, but I do now. But I thought about him for this reason. I didn't want him to be embarrassed. I didn't want my son, if I lost this fight, I did not want my son to go to high school and be taunted by his classmates because the hero that he had built up to everyone wasn't a hero after all. I wasn't going to die there. And at that moment, I had an extra boost of strength and energy. And I saw a V in the tree. And I'm a farm boy. I saw that V and I thought cattle stanchion. And I had a hold of his hair. And I took my last bit of energy and I took his head toward that V in that tree. I was going to lock his head in that tree and be done with this. And just about the time I got him to the V, a huge portion of his scalp and hair came out in my hand. And John had made his way in. And we got a hold of him. I said, "John, let's take him to the ground." And we took him back to the ground and piled on him and handcuffed him. I have 2 photographs, and Trent has seen them. I have a photograph of my U.S. Marshal's vest with blood all over it. He pulled my shoulder out, bit my thumb, had glass cuts and abrasions all over me. My nose was bleeding. I took the photograph of the U.S. Marshal's vest with my blood on it, and I have a photograph of his hair hanging in the tree. And those are reminders. What are you willing to fight for? We all say that we're willing to fight for our kids. We all say it. But why? Ask yourselves, if this is your last day on this earth, will your children be proud of what you did? Will they be proud of what you stood for and what you fought for? Or will they be ashamed and not mention anything that you did? Folks, we're at a turning point. We're at a turning point in this country, and everyone knows it. People that talk about it, people that don't talk about it, they sense it. Everyone knows we're at a turning point. And I'm not talking about necessarily a physical fight, but we have to start fighting. We have to stand up for what we know is right. We have to attend school board meetings. We have to attend county commissioner meetings. We have to support our law enforcement, and we have to hold our elected officials' feet to the fire. It's time to fight. Ask yourselves, what are you willing to fight for? Thank you.
John Bolin. Great. Thank you, John. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Faith, family, and freedom. That's what we're about here. I'm going to ask Charlotte to come up in a moment and play another song because I feel like it's time to do that. But before I do, I just want to follow up on a couple things that John kind of headed us down that path. You got a serious fight, not only with our freedom from D.C. and everything else, but we can't stress enough, it comes back to that local, the county sheriff. You know, and Glenn Palmer was the example that all county sheriffs should follow in my mind. And clearly I was deeply involved in the incident in Malheur, and you saw the sheriff of Harney County fail the people of the county. That's what happened. And when you have the local peace officer that's part of the community, it's just a different feel than when you give as a sheriff the permission for the feds to come in, and they don't understand. The people that I saw in Burns during that period of time, they were afraid of what these feds were doing that came in, not what was going on out at a wildlife sanctuary. And it all comes back to where John was talking about in terms of how we can drive that local community and that local sheriff. And it's clearly illustrated right here. And if you don't have one of these, we've got all kinds of, I've got boxes of them. Kathy Smith gave me these pocket constitutions. If you don't have one, take one and read it. I read it again. I read it on every flight. And you got a fight coming in Oregon that I don't know how in tune you are, but I just want to give you the details. It's called Proposed Ballot Initiative 13 in your 2022 general election. If that passes, it will virtually be illegal to own and harvest and eat an animal in the state of Oregon. If you to artificially inseminate your animal, or if you castrate your animal, you are subject to sexual abuse charges. These are on the books. You cannot take the life of an animal. You know, it's kind of funny, Dave starts us talking about roadkill. If that passes, if IP 13 passes, it says that you cannot take the life of an animal before its natural life and it dies a natural death. What the hell is a natural death? And it's an attack on liberty and freedom. And now you can sit there and say, well, Trent, you're sixth generation livestock producer. Obviously you have a care about that. Why do we raise livestock? 2 reasons. Livestock improve the planet and they improve human health. Because you see, the more animals that you have, the more forages and grass and plants that you need. Animals don't eat anything but plants. And so animals, the more animals you have, the more plants you need. And what feeds the plants? What's called greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide. We've been demonizing those too, and they're essential. You can't have healthy plant growth without CO2. And so it's the cycle of life. And what we have happening is somebody trying to come in and eliminate one sector of the cycle of life and think that things are going to be better. It will be chaos. It's documented that when you consume animal products, particularly animal protein and animal fat, it feeds the brain and you have a higher level of cognition. Lindsay Allen, University of California, Davis, went to Africa and did a study over a period of time on kids, and she clearly documented that kids who consume animal products, protein and fat, were significantly smarter than those who did not. And so you've given all this false narrative about animals are harmful to the planet. God didn't put them here because they're harmful to the planet. And that ballot initiative in Oregon and in Colorado is vital to human health and the health of the planet right here in the state of Oregon. If we don't have animals consuming these forages, it's the same story as logging. We will have excessive fires that cause serious problems. And all of that can be taken care of if we just stand up like Grant County has done every single time the opportunity comes up to protect the citizens of Grant County, setting the bar and the example. Charlotte Rose, thank you. I'm going to ask her to come up. I've always been this student of the Chisholm Trail. I often confuse people, think I'm Wyatt Earp, and I don't understand how their history is if they think I was born in 1834. Charlotte, if you caught her song earlier, is a student and a lover of the Oregon Trail. Obviously, John Day was a huge part of that, but I just felt before we go on to Josh, we need another song. Charlotte, do you mind?
I will do it for you.
No, you're doing it for them,
I
not
will
me.
do it for you. Thank you. The Oregon Trail is one of the reasons that we can sing from sea to shining sea. And it wasn't an easy journey. But there, in every story, there's this moment where you break through after all the pain and the grind and the trial and the struggle. And those are the moments when God honors your commitment to his work. So I hope as you hear this song, you find your story in it and the story of this nation. And they left their homeland to find a new land, leaving yesterday behind. They traded shelter for adventure, knowing they would find a place of plenty beyond the Missouri, dry white plains and snow-capped mountains. By moonlight, by sunlight, they struggled across the great divide. Trail of dreams, 2,000 miles of restless hunger. Trail of dreams, destiny lay westward. Trail of dreams, moving toward the setting sun. Trail of dreams, the Oregon Trail. To destination and inspiration, prophetic minds would lead the way. Their decision was filled with vision, spirits rising with each new day. A sense of adventure, lured by hidden treasures, furs and timber, gold and fresh water. A new road to man's old hopes, northwest passage of dust and soul. Trail of dreams, 2,000 miles of restless hunger. Trail of dreams, destiny lay westward. Trail of dreams, moving toward the setting sun. Trail of dreams, the Oregon Trail. Journey, but the struggles are getting harder. Some say they're turning back, they can't go on any longer. Camped on a trodden trail, day breaks, the earth is trembling. Low is the sound, nearer and nearer, buffalo stampeding. Run for your life, suffocating dust, children falling out of wagons. You can feel their heavy breath, they're thundering by. Curse the desert dragon. When lightning strikes, storms moving in, flash floods, mud and mire. When the sunrise, the rain, sweat turns to pain. You can feel the prairie fire. There's a fever loose, many new graves, sickness, sorrow, and suffering. Provisions are low, but I have a dream. I'll carry on. On to the west, to the face of blue mountains. On to the west, the smell of the ocean. On to the land of milk and honey. On to a land fertile and free. On to the forest, the fruits and the valleys. On to a homestead to raise a family. On with your courage, faith and persistence. On to a life of independence. Beyond each horizon is another day. Is another way for us to our dreams. With God, we'll forge a trail of opportunity, manifest destiny, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Trail of dreams, 2,000 miles of restless hunger. Trail of dreams, destiny lay westward. Trail of dreams, moving toward the setting sun. Trail of dreams, trail of dreams, 2,000 miles of restless hunger. Trail of dreams, destiny lay westward. Trail of dreams, moving toward the setting sun. Trail of dreams, the Oregon Trail. Thank you.
Rose, once again. Thank you, Charlotte. All right, now we got a fighter in our corner. We've been talking about type of fighting all day. You've already met his wife, Bryn Marie, started singing for you if you got here before. If not, you missed something spectacular. But now you get the other part of the family. They've got, by the way, I'm sure Josh will tell you, but we have Josh Himes, Bryn Marie, her father, and 3 kids under the age of 3 traveling in that bus all summer. That's the kind of people that we have coming along with us because they want to make a difference. And this boxer is going to make a difference in everybody's life. Ladies and gentlemen, from Beaver County, Pennsylvania, Josh Himes. I'm going to keep this.
How's everyone doing today? So, as Trent said, my name is Josh Himes, and you've already met my lovely wife, Bryn Marie. What a beautiful day it is here in John Day, Oregon. And it's our first time in Oregon, so it's super exciting, obviously coming a long way away from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to be here today with you guys. I want to applaud you guys first off for being here. That's half the battle, right? Half the battle sometimes is just being there. Half the battle in school is just showing up. Half the battle in a fight, showing up. So thank you guys for all being here today. Step 1. So, as Trent said, I am a professional boxer, and I've been blessed in my career to have become the All-America's champion. During my career as a professional boxer, I wore the American flag trunks, and I wore them very proudly. I fought out of the country before, in the country, all throughout. And just the most exhilarating thing, stepping on stage, stepping in the ring, and wearing our flag, that country, you know? And the moment that national anthem comes on for us, for me, it's the most exciting part. I love the national anthem. I see that flag. I'm wearing the colors of the trunks. I'm wearing it. I stand tall and proud because I know what that means, what that stands for. That flag represents this country, and the national anthem represents this country and that flag. They tie hand in hand together, right? So I stand there proudly as that song is being sung because I know the great men and women who fought for our military to fight for this country and lost their lives fighting for this country. It gives us the ability and opportunity to have that platform and that stage to have that fight go on. So to all of our men and women who have served in this country, the past, present, future, I applaud you guys for that. That's a huge, huge blessing that we have in America that have had that opportunity. And anybody that's here that's served or served before in the past, applause for you guys as well. We need that. So the 3 things that brought us on this tour: faith, family, freedom, right? Well, we live that. Faith, family, freedom. We live that day in and day out. As I told you, it's my wife, my 3 kids under 3 years old, and my father-in-law here on tour. We packed up from Pittsburgh and came out here. Now, my fight has shifted. I'm not fighting in the ring right now. I'm fighting for my family. I'm fighting for their future, for my children, for their future. Because if we don't fight, by the time they get to our age, it's too late. It's too late. So we have to put our feet down and fight. And some of the reference I'm going to make here today, I'm going to use boxing talk. So if some of you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry for the references, for the rash references. It's language that's familiar to me. So boxing talk. As we go through everything we're going through in life right now, that people are throwing wild things at us, right? They're throwing haymaker hooks at us. And what do? Seems like we can't just lay down and take a shot and go to sleep. We got to keep fighting, right? We got to roll with the punches. Roll with the punches. And that's the best defense sometimes is a good offense, because it sets you up for the next thing. Like what we're doing right now. We're meeting here. Like-minded people are getting together, and these numbers grow. They continue to grow because more like-minded people who care about their family, who care about the future, get together and they congregate, and they get stronger in numbers and stronger in teams. So it's a huge thing, guys. I want to applaud you guys for that, for us being together and continuing to fight. So faith, the number one point. Faith is obviously everything we're built on. This country is built on, as we always did the Pledge of Allegiance today, one nation under God, right? There's two Bible verses that really stand out to me, and I use this in boxing. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. I use it when I go in the ring, knowing that the Lord's my protection, right? But as the Lord knows, I should do my earthly part. I have to have an offense as well. So the verse I use for that is Psalms 23. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Right? So as well, we go forward, we take the punches, and we give them back. We can't just take them. We can't just be a punching bag. When you guys wake up in the morning and you slide out of bed, it's like sliding through the ropes, right? You're going at it. We're going to war each day. We're going to war each day. And again, being here today, we're going to war. We're here to make a difference for the next generation, for the youth. Second point, family. My wife and I have fought since day one to be together. And we continue to fight to be together. Because for me, it's imperative that we stay together. You know, a family that prays together stays together. We're always together. When I first met her, I was living in Miami. She was living in Nashville. Well, you're dang right. I left Miami to come to Nashville to go see her. I'm gonna be with her. That's what it takes. And a couple years later, we're three kids under 3 years old. And still today, we fight to be together. Whether it's her shows, I pack up as the roadie carrying a guitar. Whether it's my fight, she's lacing up my gloves in the corner. We're constantly in each other's corners, making a difference and being together as a family. So family is just such an important word for us. The last one, freedom. Freedom is what America's built on, right? Am I right? That's what we're built on. So later in my career in boxing, I became a firefighter. So I'm now a firefighter and a paramedic student. And one of the things that I'm working in the emergency room every single weekend. So I'm seeing some crazy things in the emergency room, and one of the things that really, I guess, ticks me off is I think there should be medical freedom. One of the things we're built on, America, is for having the choice, right? The choice is, that's our choice. Whether you want to get the vaccine or not, it shouldn't be a problem either way. Somebody shouldn't be shunned one way or another, whether they take the vaccine or not. Bless you. It should be your choice, period. So I see kids come in to the emergency room that they've had an adverse reaction to something. And the thing is, people are almost like you're felt one way if you're looked at another way, or you can't play the baseball team if you don't have the vaccine, or you can't travel if you don't have the vaccine. That's not right. That's not what America's about. America's about having the opportunity to make the choice, and mommy and daddy know what's best for their kids. That should be mommy and daddy's choice for what our kids get injected with. Period. So that's something that we're going to continue to fight for, and that's why we're here on this trip, on this tour, making that statement that it is our choice, medically, our freedoms, to choose what we're going to be injected in our kids or not. Absolutely. And in closing, I want to thank you guys all for being here today. I appreciate you guys. I applaud you guys for being here again, because that's half the battle. That's half the battle. Thank you all for your time. In closing, I'm going to bring my wife up here to say a word. Thank you all very much, and God bless.
Give it up for my husband. He's amazing. Like I said, you know, it's so funny. When people meet him, they go, he's the nicest guy. And I'm like, he really is. But you should see him when he actually fights in the ring. It's like I almost don't even recognize him. His eyes look completely different, but I like that because I always say, I know when he's in fight mode. I always know when he's in fight mode. And I always know when he's kind of relaxed and he's just himself. And right now, actually before we came out on this tour, it's just him and I at the house constantly in fight mode. We're like pacing the floor, talking about, I can't believe this is going on. I can't believe that is going on. And, we just got each other. I know you guys, you know what that feels like. You almost feel like you're alone. Or you're just talking to your friend or your family members saying, how is this happening right now? Do you know what I'm feeling? Do you know what I'm saying? And then you slowly start meeting other people that feel the same way as you. And you're like, all right, I'm not the only one. Well, I want to tell you today that you are not the only one. You're not fighting this alone. And one of the best things about a fighter is their support team. So when my husband went in the ring, every single time, I'm talking sparring sessions, every day he was in the gym fighting. I laced his gloves every single time. Why? Because I support him. And without that support, the fighter doesn't have anything to fall back on. So in between every single round, who's there to inspire you to keep going? Obviously, we have God. God's always in our corner. Right? But you need to have the love and support of everybody else. So I encourage you guys today, you got to stand tall and strong, support one another, find other like-minded people, support their organizations, grow these numbers, support this tour. We're here because we support you guys. We are. We're here because we support you. And you guys are here because you're supporting us. And that means the world to us. Like my husband said earlier, just getting up and showing here is massive. That's half the battle. But now it's like, what do you do from here on? When you pick up these chairs and you go to your cars, what do? You got to continue to fight. And now I challenge you to fight locally. Here I am. I'm a mom with 3 kids. Everyone goes, you don't have time to do anything. Yes, I do. You know why? You make time for the things you want to make time for. When people act like they're too busy, they're not too busy. They just don't care. You make time for the things you want to do. So I encourage you, go locally, find support all these people in your town that have the same beliefs as you. Buy local. Join the groups. I'm a mom. I'm a proud mom, but I'm also a concerned mom, okay? So I joined groups in our community for the school boards to find out what's going on, what they want to teach our kids. I don't care if you don't have kids. Still do it, because that is our future. My kids, they're not even in school yet, but that doesn't stop me. I'm not going to say, oh, well, my kids aren't affected by it. They are affected by it. Do you not agree? Right? That's our future. And I think we need to get back to what we used to have, these morals, these foundations, these values that we all grew up with. We all grew up with being American proud. Respecting the flag. Respecting the elder. I can't stand it. It really gets to me when I see these young punks, I'm going to call them punks because they are, that don't respect the older people. It blows my mind. I remember going into my grandma's house being like, okay, I got to take my shoes off. I got to sit properly. I want my kids to have that, even though they are wild. I'm not going to lie. They are still like learning, but I want them to have those values. So please, for our children, fight for them. Be the voice for the unheard. I am so pro-life. These children, they need a voice. And I do believe that we can really make a difference, but do it locally. Because if everyone keeps doing it locally, guess what happens? The dots start to connect. The army gets bigger, and our fight gets stronger. Right? So do that. I encourage you, please, please, please support our tour. I tell you what, I'm so proud to be up here today because I told my husband it's better than being at home. And yes, I am, and I'm still fighting locally around the Pittsburgh area. With every single day, I'm in these text groups, and I'm telling you what, these people are on fire. They're like, we are making a difference, and we are. You know why? We use facts. We fight with the facts. People get cornered. They can't do anything. You know why? Because we put their backs in the corner. Their backs are against the ropes, and we're ready to knock it out. And I'm not kidding. And I'm you know, to be married to a professional boxer, I'm a little tough. I'm a little crazy. And like Robert was saying earlier, you know, about these, you know, packing mamas, right? These moms that carry guns. Well, that's what I am. I'm proud to be one. I always tell people, you know, we're so nice and kind, we're loving, we're Italians, we invite people in, but you don't come after my family. Don't even come close. Don't take our kindness as a weakness. And that's what people did with us. This whole country. We sat back, and what we did was we let people have their own opinions, because that's what America was built on. The freedom to have your choice, your rights. And then they ran with it way too far. Why? Because it's shoving us out. Now we can't even think the way we want to think. How is that right? So, support. I'm going to keep saying that over and over, but you have to, guys. Get to know one another. I went knocking on all my neighbors' doors. I wanted to know who was in my community. I wanted to know. And guess what? We made a ton of new friends. We have all these new friends now, and we're like, you know what? I know if I needed sugar, I know who I can go to. Yeah, but it's true. So get to know everybody. Get to know what everyone's mission is. I think at the end of the day, we want our country to stand strong together. We want our rights back. Is that all right? So as I talk about medical freedom real quick, thank you guys. But as I talk about medical freedom real quick, I just want to let you know that as a mom, my first son, they kicked us out of the pediatrician's office. Why? Because we didn't follow the vaccine schedule. And it wasn't because I said no. It was just because I said, hey, we're going to hold off on that for a little bit. That's it. I wasn't rude. I said, just right now, I just want to just hold off. And we had to find a new pediatrician. So it just goes to show you guys, it's not about taking care of your family sometimes. It's not about the love for your children. And that's why I am grateful to say that we found somebody that really does love our children, right? So it just takes a little bit of research, takes a little bit of digging, it takes a little bit of searching, but they are out there. People are amazing. And I just thank you guys for being here and just being so open and warm with all of us. And we are just proud to be Americans, and we're proud to be here today with you guys. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Josh Himes, Bryn Marie. That's what it's about. Thank you, Bryn. Bring it back to family every time, and Patriots. And today, when I got into town, Elaine told me I had to go down to the snaffle bit and talk to Brenda. Well, I did. I took Rebecca Cunningham, the masterful videographer, cinematographer, putting us out to the world. And after we did a little short segment with Brenda Cooley, I said, Brenda, you have to come and join us on the stage, because the small business owner has been under attack for longer than just the last 18 months, but it has accelerated in the last 18 months, and something that we have done and really evolved into, and I think you've seen it play out so well. Truly, as Robert said, it's a God thing. We've brought a blend of local folks with the core group that we have traveling with us, and I don't know that there's, speaking of gun-packing mamas, she's coming up now. It's all yours.
Woohoo! You guys, this isn't my norm. I had to cook probably 30 orders in 15 minutes so I could get here. Can you hear me?
Right on.
Okay, guys, I own the Snafflebit Dinner House in town. I've been here since 2001. This is what I've been wearing since 2001. And nobody's taken my guns away from me. Anyways, so my motto at the restaurant, we are here to protect and serve all that enters. And I have some awesome people that's been coming through my doors, and I just want to say thank you for having me. My God, this is amazing to have this in John Day, Oregon. I'm just thankful for them to have me. This is only my second time that I've been up here. And what I like to say at the beginning, I just want to say, I want to thank all the service men and women that fought for us so we could be free. has taken our freedom for granted. We all have, haven't we? I never thought this day would ever appear in my lifetime. I never even thought about this at all. My mom is over there in the crowd, and she always told me if it doesn't feel right in your heart, it's not right. What's been going on for the last year and a half is a bunch of bull crap. Bull crap. So I had two choices at my business, and I didn't know what to expect. I was told the news. I laid in bed. I fixed my family some breakfast. I went back in bed, and I cried all day long because I thought, I'm pretty strong, but I didn't know what the hell am I going to do. Well, we had two choices. You either shut your doors and give up, or you do takeout. And this was only supposed to be for 14 days. Oh my God, how long has it been? Been a long damn time, hasn't it? So I adjusted. We did takeout. We were taking every other Thursday. We'd take orders down to Seneca, which is 20 miles. And people would call us by noon, and we'd deliver it. We had 3 different spots. And in the meantime, my building's pretty darn old. It's in 1940. We thought, well, we'll take this time to remodel. Well, we had to cut some, and I had to redo my sewer line because the trees were growing the roots through it. So we thought, well, let's cut the front of the entryway. That's the only way we could do because my building's concrete, the walls and the floors. Well, I was hoping Kate Brown was going to show up, but she never did because I had a hole ready for her. So I'm going to tell you my story about the restaurant, okay? They said we were supposed to wear a mask. They said we were supposed to social distancing. We were supposed to clear everything off the tables. That's not how I roll. Nope, we never wore a mask. I never social distanced. And I became a very good smuggler. So if you guys need anybody smuggled in, let me know. I can hook you up. But anyways, through this whole time, I have bad lungs. So I never did what I was supposed to do. I just refused. I've been turned in 4 times by the mask holes here in town. I just want to thank you very much because I survived. Everybody that works for me, we were never sick. They never called in sick, not once. And that's pretty amazing because in all reality, according to their statistics, I should be dead. So I look at it this way. I've been doing my own experiment for the last year and a half. And if I have to go to court, which I think I may, I'm going to testify on my behalf because I'm a walking experiment. So anyways, all I have to say is I'm a Trump fan. I've never been political, guys, until Trump came in the picture, and I thought he was losing. But I tell you what, I had to stay because it was looking damn good. And I know what we've been living has been a lie. And I feel bad for the children. Now they're trying to give free lottery tickets, free ice cream, free gift certificates to go get an experimental shot. And I know for a fact there's been over 6,000 deaths. That's been reported. And there's more, I know. 1 child had died. 1 child is way too many in my book. That's a bunch of crap. So any parents out there that feel the need to give play Russian roulette with your child, God help you. God help you. So the only thing I can say is I'm going down. I'm going to fight till the end. And I know there's a lot of people that feel the same way in this community. And all over, this just shows we are true patriots all over the world, and there's many of us. There's damn many of us. And we're not going down lightly, and I got my pistol, and I will use it. Well, I don't know how well cap guns work, but I'm sure going to try. Well, guys, I really appreciate you having me, and I'm thankful for everybody. I have a Trump sign out in front of my building, and I believe he's protected me this whole year and a half besides God. God's looked out for me and all my patriot friends. I get good people that come in my doors. So at this time in my life, I don't need no more trouble. So I'm just here like the rest of you. Gonna salute that flag, and God bless America. Thank you. Holy moly.
Holy moly is right. Put that cap gun away before you hurt me. Good grief, Brenda Cooley, the Snapple Bit owner. My goodness.
I'm Brenda.
I knew there was something serious going on because she's got a big old bull up on top of her place, and there's a bull ring nose in the bull. So this woman's going to grab control of something and take him somewhere. All right, Kevin, do you still want to go, or are you just not going to try to follow that act?
You're going to go.
Well, we'll see how he does. Kevin Jenkins, Newark, New Jersey. I guarantee it's the first time he's been to John Day, Oregon. Urban Health Alliance, once again, Kevin Jenkins.
Now, how does he know I haven't been here before? How does he know that?
Have you been here before?
Well, yeah, a couple of minutes ago. Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Now, I want everybody to stand up, please. Can you please stand up? Everybody, please. Make like you believe in the country and stand up for a minute. It's okay. Trust me, it is okay. Now what I want you to do is do me another favor. I want you to inhale God and exhale fear. I tell people to do that all the time before I speak because it's about being present and being aware of where we are and what we've gone through in this last year in some months. It has been pretty frightening. Our kids have been under assault. Our families have been under assault. Our small businesses have been under assault. Our community has been under assault. And our individual liberty, our individual body sovereignty has been under attack. So you have to inhale God and exhale fear because what's in front of us is something like we've never seen before. And it's moving like a nuclear train because they thought we were all asleep. They thought we were all not prepared to fight back. They thought that we were going to turn over our kids to them, turn over our community to them, turn over everything that's dear to us because they said we finally got them, they're lazy, we finally got them, their culture corrupt, and we finally split them all up. You got black people over here talking about race, you got white people over here talking about race. It is absolutely insane. This has nothing to do with race. This is about stealing our connection to God. This is about stealing our connection to our breath. It's about stealing our connection to humanity. That's what this is about. So when I say inhale God and exhale fear, you better understand what that means because you're going to need to have a lot of courage in the next 6 months to fight these people. And we have to fight them together. I don't want to hear about you being Jewish, Greek, Buddhist. I don't care about any of that nonsense. What I care about, are we prepared to fight for this flag like our ancestors fought for us? Or are we prepared to stand up for this country like they stood up for us? Because I know my ancestors fought for this flag even though they thought they were not being treated well. They still fought for this country because they saw something that was great in this country, and guess what? I am here to fulfill that. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not a damn victim. I don't know where these people get this stuff from that, as a black person, I can't find ID to go vote. As a black person, I can't think. As a black person, I need to be on welfare. As a black person, they're not that educated. Well, I'm that goddamn educated. And I ain't on welfare. I believe in ownership. I believe in family. I believe in faith. And guess what? Majority of my community, that's how we live. Now, I don't know what the heck they're showing on TV, but that has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with my family. My family staked their claim in this country. They stake their claim. My body, my black body, your white body, all of our bodies. We built this country. We sacrificed. And we got some people up there in La La Land. I call it La La Land. Every time you turn on your TV, it's somebody talking about race. Somebody talking about you as the deplorables, me as lazy, you as somebody that's wrong with America. Let me tell you how brilliant these people are. This is fascinating because I started picking up on this 6 months ago. So they'll get someone of your skin color to get on TV and says, well, you know, white people, we've been horrible to everybody. What in the hell are they talking about? And you still watch it. I guarantee you some of you still watch that nonsense. And then what did they do? They put a mask of shame on us. Then they knew. You know what they did after that? When we started speaking the truth, they censored us. You know, they put me on the list of the Disinformation 12. They have a foreign country investigate 12 people in this country and said that we represent 62% of disinformation about the injection, disinformation about track and tracing, disinformation about the slave passport, disinformation about the spike protein, disinformation. Well, was I lying? Was I lying? Did I do something to impact your life negatively or help you to have the right information to save your life? Now I know y'all saying, well, where does black guy come from? Where the hell does he come from? You know where I came from? I came from free Americans. I came from free Americans. That's where I came from. My grandmother was Lily Mae Jenkins. My grandfather was Wesley Jenkins. My mother was Gwendolyn Jenkins. My father was Wesley Nathan Jenkins III. I am a man. I am a man that's going to fight for this country. I'm a man that's going to fight for your children. I'm a man that's going to fight for my faith. I'm a man that's going to fight for my family. And I'm damn sure going to stay free. Now, the question is, are we prepared to fight for our freedom? See, they don't believe that. They don't believe it. I'm telling you what they think. We just keep them out there a little bit more longer because they still haven't been angry enough. You're not angry enough. I know what they tell you. Well, if you get angry, you're not close to God. Well, you better find your God courage. God ain't raised no chump here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not with that program when they're trying to kill my children. I'm not with that program when they try to destroy my businesses. And guess what? There's some businesses, family businesses, that have been built over 50 to 60 years that have been destroyed on a lie. Now, who's going to pay for the crime? Who's going to pay for the suicides? Who's going to pay for the loss of wages? Who's going to pay for the small businesses closing down forever? Who's going to pay for the destruction of our children? Who's going to pay? Who's going to pay for what they did to this country? That's what we should be talking about. Who's going to pay for this crime? Who? And we're not saying it because we keep having the wrong conversation at the wrong time. We won the science argument, but every week they'll bring some crazy person that's paid by Big Pharma to lie because they have no principles. They have no morals. They have nothing. They are empty, evil individuals, evil groups, evil people that know if they work just a little harder, they can take everything from us because we're not unified. We're not. And we have to. We have to say enough. That's why I always tell people in the audience, okay, everybody in this audience, you're all a racist, just stop it. You know why? Because we still use their language. That's my white friend. That's my Jewish friend. I'm like, wait a minute, can I just be your friend? Can I just be a human being? Can I care about my family like you? Can I care about the country like you? Can I talk about hope like you? Why do I have to have that going on every time I have a conversation with you? Why can't I say, you know, as brothers in Christ and sisters in Christ, we got one enemy. God has told us about it from day one. What did Jesus die for? He died, he sacrificed for us. The question is, are we prepared to die for our children? Sacrifice ourselves? Are we or not? That's what people need to hear from you. Don't get comfortable because they're not having you wear a mask in your neighborhood. Nah. Don't be comfortable. Don't be comfortable because you had a little better than the other cities did. This is a war for your very, very soul. They now want to become your God. But guess what? Some of us will still walk in a restaurant that says vaccinated, unvaccinated. I walked into a restaurant the other day, and I think I was in Tampa. I went to speak at Clay Clark's event, and I walked into a restaurant, and the restaurant said vaccinated, unvaccinated. I said, excuse me. I said, I'm black. Where do I sit? Now, you have to understand why I did that. I've been fighting for 100 some odd years in this country to feel free to walk in some place and not be victimized because of my color, like you should not be victimized because of where you live and what you think about God and country and family and community. Now, I asked the question, the lady didn't know what to do. She said, well, you can sit anywhere. Well, you know, black is in right now, so I got away with murder. Right? So I got to tell you something. It is absolutely critically important that we understand that this is our anointed time. It's not somebody else's. It's not somebody out there. The reason why you're here is because this is your anointed time. The reason why I'm here is because I believe God has guided me to be here. To be on this stage, to spend this moment, to breathe this air, to listen to this, look at this sunshine, look at these mountains. Do you want this to be taken away from us? This ain't got nothing to do with China. This ain't got nothing to do with Russia. This ain't got nothing to do with Germany. Our government has abandoned us because we allowed it. The same churches that talked about Jesus Christ every Sunday and every Wednesday, they closed down their churches and zoomed in Jesus, and now they want to open up their church and sell you the devil's product. What kind of people are they? We need a new awakening, not to be awoke. We need to awaken our souls to know that we are not going to live like that another 50 years. We're going to build a new ark into the future, our future, not theirs. And that's what we should be about. You go to restaurants that serve you right. You go buy clothes in places that serve you right. You take your kids out of schools. I mean, wait a minute. Okay, here's another thing. Y'all got to help me with this because I'm a little tired today. Now, what in the hell is critical race theory? No, wait a minute. I want to, but wait a minute. The mere fact that somebody sat in one of our universities, and the mere fact that this theology, this ideology has emerged, you have to know that's maximum sophisticated confusion. Now, I guess y'all saying, well, what the heck is that? That is when a group of people organize themselves to try to rewrite the narrative of our species and our humanity, and then use it to divide us based on a narrative of race, when in fact it is the most ridiculous thing ever. But we allowed it to happen. Who's going to pay? Who's going to pay for all of this? Who's going to pay for that young man that killed himself? Who's going to pay for that young woman that hasn't seen her friends and is going through all of the most mental challenging times of her life? Who's going to pay for the grandmother and grandfather that was locked in their houses, and some of them are still afraid to come out? What the hell did we allow these people to do to us? Who are we? Who are you? Because I ask myself that question all the time. What in the hell am I doing up here doing this? Who am I? Because you know why? Because, see, I got to tell you something. There's something magical happening. We just have to open up our minds and see it in our eyes and see it. There's something magical really happening. Something good is going to come out of this if we just find something deep in ourselves, not to think that this is just going to go away, that the change that we need, the change that we want, we are the ones that can make that happen. There's something magical that's happening, but we have to believe it. This is a war between the conscious and unconscious. And guess what? I don't care if the unconscious is not here. I really do not care. I'll tell you right now, I do not care. Some people tell me, Kevin, you know, I lost so many friends. I said, stop. They were not your friends. They were your, you just had, that was an acquaintance. You thought they shared your values. You thought they believed in country. You thought they believed in being a free thinker. No. So I'm glad. You know why? Because all of you are my new tribe. See, I pick up a part of my family every day I go somewhere. I got new family members. So by the time I get back to New Jersey, they're going to say, Kevin, how you doing? I say, who are you? Like, who are you? Because you can't be spending time talking to me when we're supposed to be fighting for our country. Who are you? Who are these people that think that they can segregate us? They can say who's healthy and not healthy. They can create a bioweapon that we know that's been tinkered with, and none of us are crying for their heads. We should be asking for who's going to pay. Who? That is critically important right now. I want to know who's going to pay for my pain, my suffering. Who's going to pay? You know what they're going to do? If we don't start asking that question, this is just going to go away. You think go away. I mean, it's going to go away. You won't be able to blame anybody in another 6 months because it'll be repackaged as something else. They killed our elderly. Now they're killing us with this experimental biologic. They created a bioweapon. Now they're creating another bioweapon, and then now you become the bioweapon when you take the bioweapon into your body. What the heck? And you're not angry? Now, I know since I got back from Tampa, I've been angry, so I got to get into some prayer quick. But see, I believe my Jesus Christ is the liberating Jesus Christ. I don't know about that other Jesus Christ people talking about. He fought for me. He fought for you. He fought for our families. I will not go into a church that closed down. I'm a member of a church in Newark, New Jersey, AME Church, you know, the bougie church. I called him up and told him, I said, I will never come back into your church ever again. And he was like, brother, I said, do not brother me. I said, because you just opened up your church as a COVID center. That's a sinner. That man's against God. God gave me this perfect body to fight anything on earth, and I'm busy every day trying to destroy or the groups of people. I think this is on. Okay. So listen, I asked you to stand up because I think you need to embrace God and embrace your God courage. But I'm going to ask you to do one more thing before I leave this stage, because I always have to figure out, am I talking to human beings? So can you all stand up and hug each other before I go, please? Can you do that, please? And I'm going to tell you why it's important that you do this. I'm going to tell you why you do this and why you should do it every time you see someone. I'm going to tell you why. Because last year, they tried to take that away from us. They tried to take our human contact away from us. They tried to take our hope and our love and take our ability to engage in action to fight them. So that's why I ask every audience I speak to hug each other, because it is critically important that the world see that we are prepared to fight for what? Our humanity. I want everybody this evening to have a great day.
Kevin Jenkins. Where are you going? You haven't hugged anybody. All right, Bren, get up here. We are going to ask you, in closing, to make your way up to the stage in a horseshoe shape, and we've got a young lady that's going to provide some vocal motivation to do that. So if you would, we want to take a group picture. Make your way up here. Look out that way. Rebecca will take a picture. Brent, it's all yours.
All right, everyone, sing along with me, okay? Wave your flag proudly. Ready? God bless America. There we go. Come on. Land that I love, stand beside her, ignite her, through the night with the light from above. From the mountains, over here, guys, to the prairies, to the front, to the ocean, wide with love.
is about one nation under God, putting people above politics. And folks, I'm going to ask you to do one last thing. While you're watching Rebecca take the picture, I'm going to count to 3, and when I say 3, you're going to fist pump the sky and say, liberty. 1, 2, 3. Liberty! We'll see if Kevin can do better than that.
Okay, guys, I'm going to beat him, right? All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Liberty! There you go.
Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you. And remember, we're in your corner. Robert David Steele will be over by the pig. Go over and feed the pig. Most importantly, stand for freedom.